Hi guys, this is Echo Soundworks with another tutorial for MassiveSynth.com. First, if you're not subscribed to this YouTube channel, please sign up at youtube.com/ADSR Tuts, that's Tuts. Alright, so today's video isn't so much a tutorial as it is just something I wanted to point out about Massive. It's actually helped me with my own sounds in Massive, and I thought it'd be useful to share this info. Long story short, I was on a forum for native instruments, and some people were talking about inquiring about the differences between the modes in Massive, like the spectrum, the bend plus, the bend minus, the bend plus minus, and Formant. And the conversation quickly turned to, does anyone use, how do they use the Formant, because it's a very kind of shrill and very distinct sound. And a lot of people were saying, probably 3 or 4, that you need to stack it with some other oscillators in Massive that are using the spectrum or the bend plus or etc. to get a good usable musical result. Well, I wanted to point out something that I found out a while ago in Massive that I find really interesting. So you see right here, I have a bluish purple track, I guess, and a bright pink track. I want you to try to figure out which one is a stack of Formant, just a few waveforms using the nothing but Formant for the mode, and one's using spectrum. And again. Alright, so I can't tell on the headphones that I'm currently wearing, and there's some model of AKG. I can tell on the monitors that I mix on. I can tell a little bit, but it's really hard. Now, at first, you'd think this should be really easy. Formant is a very distinctive tone, and these sound very, very similar. And I have an analyzer up so you could see that. You can actually visibly see. It's a really similar sound. That's why I had this up. I want to show you. Well, let's pull this up and see which one is the Formant and which one is the spectrum. This first, if you guess this blue-purple one is the Formant, you are right. I have 2 oscillators going, and they're both on a Formant. And one's using one's set to a square wave, and one's set to a square wave on a sine square. And you get this kind of Squ-Saw sound. So this patch is coming from a Squ-Saw preset that use the pulse saw or the square saw waveform. Now let's open up this instance of Massive and see what we have. We have two oscillators, oscillator 1 and oscillator 3. I don't know why I set it up like that. I could have used oscillator 2, but I was being weird. So they're both on square saw, wavetable position, both to the saw, and they're on spectrum. Well, what I noticed a while ago in Massive was that the Formants can actually be used to create, I think, really usable sounds. So I'm going to solo just the first oscillator. That's just one oscillator on the Formant. Now let's pull back up this other instance of Massive, and let's use just one oscillator on spectrum. Again, they're really similar. Well, the interesting thing is the wavetable position is set to a square. If you keep the intensity all the way down, that's the key here. You have to keep the intensity knob all the way down. Does something interesting. It kind of, with this sounds like a saw waveform, but this is facing square, but I don't hear square. I hear more of a saw. So let's try a sine triangle. Now using that logic with the intensity all the way down, this would be a triangle wave. Alright, so let's try loading up a triangle wave on spectrum and see what we get. So I have it leaning towards the triangle, and I have it on spectrum. Let's see what we got. So you can tell that the Formant is very close to, it kind of inverts what's happening on the wavetable position, but it's a little bit brighter. I don't know if you can hear that on YouTube. There's spectrum on a triangle, and there's Formant, so it's a little bit brighter. Now the reason why I thought it's cool and how I use this in my own projects and sound design is with this one patch that we had that was the spectrum. So we have 2 instances of spectrum on square saw. What I like doing is I like using one on a Formant, and then I'll have it go towards the square, because remember, we got to turn it towards the opposite side to get it to be that saw. But if you turn the intensity down, right now it'll just sound like a spectrum. Well, if you kind of bring this intensity up, that's when you start to get the real interesting results. So what I'll do is I'll blend the two and just add a little bit. Because with the, one of my producer friends said the struggle is real when you're trying to get like an interesting Squ-Saw sound because it's all been done to death. So that's one way that I will kind of apply just a quick tip and trick to getting a more interesting Squ-Saw sound. Whether I'm using a preset, making my own, or whatever, I will load up a waveform and I'll go to one of these square waves, turn the wavetable position to the square side because it inverts what side you're going to and you have the intensity really low. And then stack that with maybe one on Spectrum or BEM Plus. It gets a pretty unique sound. It's just a little bit different. Just one little extra thing you can do to kind of have a more interesting sound coming from a synth that is very widely used and has been used for a long time. All right, guys, if you have any questions or comments, let me know below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And if you haven't checked out massivesynth.com, head on over there. Tons of cool things massive related. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time.